And the president has ordered a review of all intelligence related to Fort Hood shooting suspect Major Nidal Hasan. Many are questioning whether this tragedy could have been prevented. Here is Scott Mitchell with today's Your Vote Counts.
Okay, the big news today is 13 counts of murder for the Fort Hood shooter.
Probably should have been 14. You know, there was an unborn child.
And a whole bunch of people hurt. The question is that everybody's talking about was political correctness involved in keeping this guy upright and moving around inside the United States Army.
Well, I think there is no dispute or debate about that fact. Listen, Major Nidal Hasan is a radical Islamic extremist terrorist, and I have absolutely no problem saying that. I know that there are plenty of people in Representative Morissette's party, the president included, who do have a problem saying that. For goodness sakes, he won't even admit that we're on a war on terror. He wants to marginalize this as just another criminal act when, in fact, it is an act of terrorism. And, guys, the thing that concerns me is I don't know how we win a war against these folks when our political leaders, especially the president, have a problem defining exactly who the enemy is.
Now, here's the irony of it. For peace-loving Muslims and millions in America, this did them no favor if they let this guy wander around because he was Islamic.
Well, I'll address that in a minute, but I'll address Representative Terrell's attack on Democrats first. As usual, my friend over here always is pandering to the right. He goes so far to the right that he's going to fall off the Flat Earth Society. Back to the President of the United States. The President is the leader of this country. The Army, first of all, has an extremely tough job to do. They've had 8 years of 2 wars that have gone nowhere, that was started unilaterally by George Bush's administration. We should feel for those in the Army, especially those loved ones, and the family here in Oklahoma. I think it's an insult to think that, I agree with you, by the way, the peace-loving Muslims need to come out and speak up forcefully.
By the way, Iraq's going reasonably well, but the president needs to make a decision on Afghanistan.
Iraq is not doing well at all.
The president needs to make a decision on Afghanistan.
Well, just like we did in Vietnam with Johnson, right?
All right. Well, good point. That's a good debate to have at some point. The next question I've got for you is, coming back to domestic politics, Nancy Pelosi, House Speaker Nancy Pelosi, pushed this bill last weekend to get all of these folks, and especially those 40 or 50 kind of conservative Democrats out there, to be on the record for a bill that is dead, okay? This health care bill, when it goes in, is dead. Has she made people walk the plank, Democrats, conservative Democrats?
Yes, she has. The first mistake those Democrats made prior to 2006 was making her the leader to be Speaker of the House. Nancy Pelosi is an ideologue. She's a San Francisco liberal Democrat that has very little in touch with the rest of America, especially middle America. Dan Boren from the 2nd District, thank God, voted no, rightfully so. But yes, she has put those Democrats in trouble. President Obama has said all along that he wants to help all Americans. The one thing that they should do in this bill, without the help of the Republicans, is put pre-existing conditions that'll no longer be a prevention to get medical insurance.
And probably after the first year if we get around to that. But the fact is, Nancy Pelosi, a lot of people think she made a bunch of Democrats, conservative Democrats, walk the plank.
Well, she absolutely did. Wow, what a surprisingly candid admission from Representative Morissette, and an accurate characterization of Speaker of the House Nancy Pelosi. Listen, they twisted and in some cases broke arms to get this bill with this public option through the House of Representatives. It is DOA in the Senate. Whatever emerges from the Senate, if something does, and by the way, they don't even have a 60 votes to start debate, much less to vote cloture and prevent a filibuster on it, but whatever emerges from the Senate most certainly probably will not resemble anything close to what has come out of the House of Representatives. Now, and by the way, the gap is now 20 points plus on a generic ballot between Republicans and Democrats, primarily as a result of health care.
Yeah, Republicans are getting back in the ballgame because Democrats are letting them. That's what the ballgame is.
That's right, and they shouldn't. If I was in charge, they wouldn't.
Now, here's some of the details starting to leak out about this bill. One of those details was AP, Associated Press, yesterday, saying that this bill is going to kill a hospital, I-240 and Sunny Lane, I believe.
I-240 and Sooner Road.
Oklahoma Heart Hospital, which was a joint venture by a couple of hospitals and a physicians group, kill it by denying federal reimbursement. Well, that's insane.
It is absolutely insane. Listen, the Oklahoma Heart Hospital is not just one of the best hospitals in the state of Oklahoma. It's one of the best specialty hospitals in the United States. They have pioneered life-saving procedures when it comes to heart treatment, quite frankly, that are on the cutting edge of technology. Listen, it is not surprising because there have been several previous efforts to try to kill these specialty, particularly physician-owned hospitals. It's not surprising, Richard, coming out of a Democrat Congress, because you guys don't like competition. And these things produce not only lower cost care, but higher quality care. Those are things Democrats don't like.
What? And you told me you were at the groundbreaking of this. What? And this is set up there for veterans, what I understand, a lot of military families out there. Why would Pelosi or Reid allow this to happen?
Look, that portion is dead. But let me talk about our delegation in the Senate. Senator Inhofe and Senator Coburn have absolutely no influence with the Democratic majority. What they seem to forget that the Republicans in the Senate no longer are in the majority. Of course, when they were there, they just overran the Democrats, and now they have absolutely no influence whatsoever. This is a good hospital. That provision will not survive. As far as competition, this guy over here, my Republican friend, the insurance companies are running roughshod in this country. They are making over 30% profits. The people that are for competition are Democrats and not Republicans.
Okay, real quick, we're under a minute now. Big news yesterday, Lou Dobbs leaves CNN. You know Lou Dobbs very well. What's going on?
Well, not only do I know Lou Dobbs, I know plenty of folks who are in his shop, and obviously I've been on his program several times. Listen, Lou Dobbs is a pioneer. He's been around for 30 years plus on CNN, helped build that network to the 24/7, 365 operation that it is. My prediction in this regard is twofold. Number one, with Lou Dobbs' departure, CNN's ratings will continue to go down. And number two, we haven't seen the end of Lou Dobbs. I predict he'll be back in some political capacity.
You know what I think is outrageous? What I think is outrageous is Senator Coburn's hypocrisy. He is holding up the Veterans Care Bill. 1,300 Oklahoma veterans has asked him to stop his opposition. His hypocrisy is incredible. He voted twice for the war without knowing where the fund's going. Senator Coburn, get off your high horse and let that bill get through.
Senator Coburn has more